Hello. It's been a while since I've done a video because, and you might have seen on my posts on YouTube, but I've got a new job. I've got a job, I'm employed, and I'm so glad, to be honest. I was very stressed about not having a job, and feels like my prayers have been answered a little bit. So it's full time, so I'm a lot more busy now. I'm balancing that and my masters, and this, so it's a lot. But I feel super passionate about doing these videos, so I'm definitely going to try my best to be doing at least once a week, but hopefully 2, maybe sometimes less. I'm not too sure, but we will see. But I just thought I'd fill you in if you're wondering maybe where I've been. Not that it's been long, it's been a week, but usually I post more consistently. Anyway, as you've probably seen by the title, today's video is about how to be kinder to yourself. I feel like I've spoken quite a bit in my videos about why it's so important to have grace for yourself and just love yourself and be kinder and stuff, but I don't really talk about how I do that or how to do it. So I thought that's what I'd do today. Sorry, before I get into this, I feel like I need to address this cage around my sofa. If you haven't seen my previous videos or don't know that I have bunnies, I have 2 bunnies, and they're sweet and they're lovely, but they're also little menaces, and the only way we can keep them off the sofa at the moment is by having a complete cage around it, because they were at night time having to be kind of contained. It was a big space they had, but I didn't like it. I wanted them to have just freedom constantly. So now we're the ones that are caged in, which is so stupid and funny, but so that's why that's in the background, just for a bit of context. Anyway, let's get into the actual video. So how to be kinder to yourself seems pretty easy, but honestly is really difficult most of the time. I think it's something that a lot of people are kind of out of practice in doing. A lot of people know how to be kind to their friends or their family or other people around them, but when it comes to themselves, it's more difficult. You don't really know how to navigate it. So today I'm just going to give you a few ideas, some things that I've been doing for myself that I've found working. And the first one is to respect yourself. Sounds simple, but a lot of people don't do this. I wasn't doing this before. And I've said to set boundaries and respect them in terms of boundaries with other people, but also just boundaries with yourself, because in the guise of self-care, I wasn't doing a lot of things that I really needed to be doing. And I just had a lot of habits that were just quite detrimental to myself. And now I see how that was really kind of holding me back, and it definitely was not being kind to myself. So I think being clear of what our goals are and what we want for ourselves and how we want our lives to look in terms of how we want to treat ourselves and such. I think, just setting boundaries, maybe even writing them down and trying your best to stick to them. I think it's easy to, if somebody else gives you a boundary, maybe they need some time alone or whatever it is, it's kind of easier to respect other people's boundaries when they tell you something. But when it comes to ourselves, we often sort of set a little rule for ourselves or a goal or a habit we want to change, and then very easily kind of give up on that, because when it comes to doing something for yourself, it is difficult because you find so many excuses. But I think, looking at it as I owe myself this just as I would owe anybody else, respect towards their boundaries. I think that's super important. I love this second one. For the second one, I've got romance yourself. So what would you do for somebody you love if you were trying to romance them, if you were just dating somebody, or there's just somebody you love a lot in your life, a partner that you want to spoil? How would you spoil them? How would you treat them? And now do this for yourself. Because I think we often don't know really how to do nice things for ourselves, because it just feels, it could just feel difficult. But I think by thinking, okay, what would I do for another person? I'd write them a love letter. I would get some things out of the way that they've been putting off. I would take them to their favorite place. I'd do their favorite things with them. I'd bake them their favorite treat. And when you do all that for yourself, it's so nice. Like, it's rewarding because you've spent your time like doing something fulfilling, but then also you get that treat at the end. I think like having a day like this once in a while is like so special. And I am going to be doing a video where I romance myself for a day, like the ultimate self-love day. But I think that's quite a sweet idea, and it's something that, yeah, you can spend the day doing it and really plan it out. Get some flowers for yourself. I think like if you can, doing little sweet things like that for yourself for a day, things you'd usually be like, oh, I can't waste my money on that for myself. Do that. It'll be nice. It'll be nice to have some flowers. It'll be nice to have some extra chocolates or whatever. I think that's just a sweet way to be kind to yourself. This next one I think is very, very, very important, and it's been a massive turning point for me, is to stop neglecting yourself and your needs. And I've put eat foods that make you feel well and that give you energy, take breaks when you need to, move when you need to, harness more awareness around your mental and physical needs and do them justice. For so long I was feeling really faint every day and I had zero energy, and I was just realizing I wasn't feeding myself. I wasn't like slowing down and actually thinking, is this food making me feel good, or is it actually just making me feel so lethargic? Am I eating enough? Am I exercising enough? You know, am I way too stationary constantly throughout the day? Or even I'd just be ignoring my needs, like be scrolling on my phone and I'm like desperate for the toilet, but I just wouldn't do it because I'm like, oh, I'll do it later. When you're constantly telling your body that it's okay, you can't go to the toilet right now, or you can't eat right now, or you can't do this thing, even though your body's giving you the cues to do that thing, it puts your body in kind of fight or flight and tells your body, no, this isn't safe right now, so it gives you more adrenaline. That's something my old therapist told me ages ago, and when I thought about it like that, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not letting myself relax, because if you're in a relaxing position, you're in a position where you can fulfill your body's needs. And if you aren't doing that, then your body might be like, why, you know, and start freaking out. So I think that's definitely very important. This next one isn't as straightforward, and I think it really depends on where you're at. But I've put to acknowledge your anxieties, but also try your best to do things that are out of your comfort zone. And I think this really depends if you have very, very extreme anxiety, or you're in a part of your life where it's exceptionally difficult at the moment. I think, for example, when I was in that sort of stage of my life where my anxiety was awful and I wasn't medicated and I was just really, really struggling, for me, just doing the bare minimum was out of my comfort zone. Just existing was out of my comfort zone. So I think if you're in that sort of stage, have the grace to like sort of allow yourself to just exist first before like pushing yourself to do even more. But for example, like since I started medication, I kind of had more availability to do those things, to get out of my comfort zone, to meet more people and do more things, something I'm still very much working on. But I noticed the more that I put myself in situations that maybe previously would have made me uncomfortable and still kind of do a little bit, it definitely helps future me. And I think doing nice things for future you is a great, great, great act of like kindness towards yourself, because doing something in the moment that's like, oh, I really don't want to do this, or I'm a bit anxious, or I'm a bit nervous, is so brave to do when you know it's going to benefit your future self, but maybe in the moment it's a little bit uncomfortable. But yeah, I think it's so easy to get very tied to your identity with anxiety and kind of let that take over. But as much as you can, you do need to try and work through that. But like I said, I'm very aware of that, like sometimes just existing is doing as much as you can in that moment. And I completely get that, and I've been there myself. So that's why I'm saying it really depends on like where you're at for that one. Next, I've got stop procrastinating things. You're only punishing yourself. This is something I've spoken about quite a bit in my previous videos, that like it is not self-care or kindness to yourself to put something off that's making you anxious, because you're only making it more difficult for yourself in the future. And although, like I said, it might be uncomfortable in the moment, the relief you will feel will just be so worth it after. I'm an awful procrastinator. I've been doing it with my uni work, and now I'm in a position where I am going to have to write my essays with way less time, and it's going to be so stressful for myself. And it would have been such an act of kindness to start it a while ago, even though I didn't want to. Sometimes doing what you don't want to is exactly what you need to do. But I've said this a lot in my other videos, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. But yeah, big thing. Next, I have to take more time away from social media and to specifically fill that time with things that really relax you, especially maybe things that you did when you were younger and have kind of dropped. Things like that I do are like crochet or colouring in or doing exercise, reading. There's loads of different things you can do. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about this because one of my last videos was about spending less time on social media and on my phone generally. But I think like it's very easy to get home from work or home from whatever, or just when you're stressed, like go on to TikTok or Reels and see that as like relaxing time, but you're not actually giving your brain any time to relax, and it's just stimulating you even further. So I think a good act of kindness is to allow your brain that time to actually rest, time that is outside of just sleeping, which takes me on to the next one, which is prioritize your sleep. The only way that I've really got into a better sleeping pattern is by getting up earlier. Now that I've started my new job, I have to get up early, and I'm sleeping earlier, and actually this is the best I've slept in a really long time. I also take magnesium before bed, which does help me sleep too, but getting a good night's sleep is just, it's the best feeling ever. I mean, I'm sure you agree that it's just, to wake up when you don't feel like absolute crap is just a gift in itself. It's just amazing. And then for the last one, I forgot, and this one might be a bit of a slap in the face, but address your problematic behavior and try your best to correct these behaviors for yourself. Not an easy one. With all these things, this is something I'm trying my best to work on. For me, my problematic behaviors is impulsiveness and overspending, procrastinating, self-sabotaging as well sometimes. And I think to allow those behaviors, to be aware of them and just allow them to continue without really trying to work on them would just be like a massive slap in my own face. Because I know these things, even if they feel good in the moment, again, like I've said before, it does not feel good later. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like with a lot of the things that I've said, including this one, it's kind of a lot of the time about doing things for your future self, because that's still you, you know. I think it's really easy to continue like self-destructive behaviors that feel good in the moment, like overspending, like scrolling on your phone for ages, like avoiding exercise. Very easy to do those behaviors, but you've just got to sort of remind yourself that you will have to deal with those consequences pretty soon. It's only a disservice to yourself. And of course, no one's going to be perfect, and you're going to do some crappy things sometimes and have some crappy habits, as does everyone. But I think trying your best to just be aware of them and maybe work on them as much as you can. That's kindness, baby. Yeah. That's it that I've got for today's video. I just wanted a chill one. It's quite late. But I really wanted to get something out because I've missed you guys. I've missed you. Yeah, it's been weird being so busy this week and not being able to sort of check in as much or post as much. I didn't like it. Although I'm loving doing my job, I don't know. I'm sad. because this is my main passion. This is my thing, you know. But I appreciate everyone being so sweet and supportive and understanding. So yeah. Oh, I think this is my first video since I hit 10k as well. So thank you so much for that. That's really exciting. Like, I never thought that would happen. So super surreal seeing that happen. And yeah, I was very happy. So thank you. I celebrated with a pizza the next day. I don't know what else to say, but I love you guys. Yeah. All right.